Welcome to the JSD Fantasy Football Podcast with your boy, Scott Papa Fox Jackson, my guy, Mr. Prestige John Evans, and the one and only bearded warrior, Big Dale Gibson. And we are JSD. Welcome to the pod, y'all.
Welcome to the podcast, JSD
Fantasy
Football.
First episode.
Gonna get it in the books.
So a long time coming, man.
All right. Well, I'm John.
I'm Scott.
I'm Dale.
All right, and we're just three really, really good friends that are not professional football analysts. We just love it so much that we decided to put a pod together. So.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. I'd like to let you tell you all a little bit about ourselves. And we all actually met at work a few years back, and just became really good friends. So, anything you guys want to say?
Go ahead, Scott.
All right.
That's on me. Well, kind of like John said, just three really good friends met at work. Started becoming really good friends outside of work, and here we are. So one thing that everybody obviously bonds on is football and fantasy football. So on my end, never really been a big football fan until I started playing fantasy, and now I'm NFL, baby. Like, I used to be a big NBA fan, still love the NBA, but NFL is definitely up on my list now, and we in here.
Yes, sir. And just like they said, three friends met at work, friends outside of work, and now we're family. So we got this podcast going and see what can happen. But grew up a diehard football fan, Niners, obviously, all the way, and jumped into fantasy football and haven't looked back since.
Sure.
There you go. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Yes, sir.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
All right. Well, yep. So, without further ado, it's a little late tonight, but we'll get through this one. I know you guys have your young ones keeping you up a little late and all that stuff. Everybody knows I'm well past that, but
they don't know that.
Yeah. Well, now they do. So, let's get to it, guys. What do we want to talk about first? You guys excited about anything this season? Anything that stands out that you're looking for?
I mean, I'm excited to see what Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels can do, honestly.
I am ready.
Like, out of everybody that was drafted this last draft, those two really stand out for me. Just seeing what they can do with those franchises that haven't had a solid QB in years. So we'll see if they can elevate those franchises, maybe get them some more wins, and maybe they'll surprise us and end up a playoff team. I'm definitely excited to see what happens there.
Gotcha.
Just kind of piggyback off of that, Jaden Daniels, I am ready. I'm actually really juiced to see how he is. I know a lot of people compare him kind of like to Anthony Richardson, but from what I've seen, it seems like he's the better passer. So he has the run game, he has the passing ability, but does he have the talent on the team? So I feel high on the Commanders' offense this year. Don't really know about the defense. Disclaimer, I don't really know about defense in the NFL. Ask me any questions about it. Don't really got the answers, but offense, baby, we there. So I'm really juiced up for the Commanders' offense. See how they do.
Yeah. Basically, you just need to find out, hey, is the defense I'm playing this week going against the Giants? Yeah?
Yes,
all right.
Sir.
All right.
Or the Panthers.
Yeah, or the Panthers. Yeah. Just don't let my father-in-law hear me say that. He's a diehard Giants fan. So, I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels. Caleb Williams, I actually, after watching a little bit of the preseason, first off, I'd just watch clips of the preseason. I don't mess with watching the full games. I'll watch the highlights. just because of my work schedule and stuff. So, but to see some of the stuff that Caleb Williams has been doing in Chicago, especially with Roma Dunze, oh, well, I was not high on him at all. I was like, all right, well, we'll see how it goes. We all saw how Bryce Young turned out last year with being the #1 pick. I'm like, all right, maybe a repeat. I don't think so. I think he's really going to do something in Chicago, and it's going to be scary cool what's gonna go down. And I'm back invested in Chicago players, receivers specifically. I think they have value. When I was just ready to write them off, so really glad to have seen that.
Got a quick piggyback on that. Quick question.
Uh-huh.
How do you guys feel about Keenan Allen? Because it seems like everybody's just kind of fading on him. I'm not ready to fade on Keenan Allen.
Well, I was, but again, Caleb Williams. All right, but the chemistry that him and Adunze has, that's scary too. Keenan's the vet, but I think the new blood may be taking over, for the Bears. So
I think if Odunze does what he's projected to do, what he did in college, I think he'll leapfrog over Keenan Allen in the depth chart at some point this season. Just because Keenan Allen is in his 30s now, he's going to take a step back a little bit. He's playing with a rookie quarterback, but I think towards the middle end of the season, I think the 1 and 2 are going to be Odunze and DJ Moore. And Keenan Allen will still be in the mix, but he's not going to be the #1 that a lot of people think he's going to be. But then there's, like you said, Scott, the people that are fading him a little bit just because he's, a little bit older, going to be a little bit slower. But I think Odunze, with that offense, I think he'll end up taking over as the #1 wide receiver at some point this season.
Kind of like CJ Stroud and Tank Dell. How they got that related there like this.
Yep, that's exactly what I think.
And with Houston, I'm not scared of Diggs. I still will take Tank Dell. I know he's fast. He's good. He looks like he recovered pretty good from that injury. Nico Collins is still a factor, but they were able to spread the ball around last year with all of them. So,
dude, I saw. What's so crazy is Diggs. Actually, I did a mock draft. I want to say it was either yesterday or the day before. Stephon Diggs fell to like the 69th pick.
Yeah.
And he got sniped right. I was going to take him. He got taken right before me, but it's like the same thing with Diggs. It seems to be dropping in the drafts. Keenan Allen seems to be dropping in the drafts. And if they drop that low or low enough, I'm definitely still going to take a chance on them.
You're getting them at a value at that point.
Exactly.
Now, may not be your #1 choice for that team, but as far as value, you can afford to wait on that position, a little bit if you need to fill in another one, like with running back, or you want to take care of your QB option before the 6th or 7th round. So,
gotta take the value. That's been my new rule. Take the value.
Yep.
Take the value, but also take the players that you want, even if it's at a lower ADP. If you don't think they're going to be there and that's the position and the player that you want, take them.
Yeah, it's okay to reach if it's within reason. I mean, don't jump 2, 3, 4 rounds. But I really like my kicker, but I don't think I'm going to take him in the 8th round.
No, I feel that. Yeah, I think that's been the goal with all the mocks, right? Trying to find out, okay, who are the people that you really want? How far can you go without taking them? Or how far do you have to reach to make sure you get you guys?
Yeah. No, that's it. It's value versus it's value, demand, and like what's the best choice in the moment. So
while we're on value, quick question. I got one question.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about Travis Kelce?
I'm not down on him.
Because he leapfrogged Sam LaPorta, at least in the Yahoo ADP and drafts, right? He's leapfrogged Sam LaPorta.
All right.
So Sam LaPorta is the first one.
This is where me and Dale gang up on Scott about platforms. So we play on different platforms. Multiple platforms. Yahoo, Sleeper. I've messed around. some of us.
I left ESPN
And,
alone this year. I can't do it this year.
well, as you guys know, I did all of them last year, and
Yo,
it was exhausting. And some of them were just a bit too much, and also not enough.
yo.
So, but I'd have to say that my tops are like Sleeper and Yahoo. But
Yes.
Yeah,
I think they do have different ADPs based on the platforms. Obviously, it's going to change with what your settings are, what kind of draft you're going to have. If it's a super flex, if it's going to be PPR, half PPR, anything like that. You doing best ball, that's a completely different game. Just like super flex. I mean, but
Superflex is wild.
yeah, I did my super flex for the Scotty Fishbowl, and that's a slow draft. I do not recommend 8 hours a pick. That thing started before the Olympics started, and it ended after they ended. So,
That's wild.
yeah,
That's doing too much.
yeah, it's okay. I think we all celebrated some birthdays in that whole time span. It felt like.
2-week
Wait.
draft.
So let's just jump back in on your question with Kelsey.
Yes.
Now, are you asking, like, is he a value at where he's going at his ADP, or?
Well, I wouldn't say he's a value, right? But then that's the question, right? He's not necessarily a value, but do you guys feel like he's worth a top 30 pick? Because he's
Maybe
essentially going in the second round, maybe early third.
I was going to say, what is his current ADP?
27.
27?
Yes. He's going before Josh Allen. He's going before Sam Laporta, before DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman.
For me, no. That's too
I think the only reason you take Kelsey before a Laporta or even a Trey McBride this year is because he plays with Patrick Mahomes, and he's got that chemistry with Mahomes, and he's going to get peppered with targets. Because outside of Kelsey, he's got Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. I mean, you got Pacheco out of the backfield, but most of your targets are going to go to Kelsey and Rice. And Rice being up in the air with the legal issues happening early, later, we don't know. But he's 34 now. He lost his step last year. He had a couple of injuries. And, like, I don't see him taking a step forward from last year. I think he'll probably be about the same production-wise. But you can always count on him getting those targets and getting those catches, each game. So he's going to be consistent, but I don't think he'll be anywhere near the Travis Kelce that we're used to seeing.
Yeah. Plus, in his personal life, obviously he's dating Taylor Swift, and he's got that. But what I was going to get at is, I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but I think it was yesterday. He's going to be in the new Happy Gilmore 2 movie.
I did see that.
Saw that.
So I don't know. Could it be a little bit of the Baker Mayfield too heavy in commercials and movies and stuff like that kind of effect? Because Baker kind of fell off when he was doing all those insurance commercials.
Yeah.
So is it going to be like, okay, well, I've got a couple rings, I'm dating a superstar, and I'm in movies now. So I'm just not that high on him. Like you said, Dale, he's going to get targets because of Mahomes, but I'm not going to pay that much for him.
No.
So that's the other side of the argument, though, right? So I'm just playing devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think he's worth it right there. But before, what was the last year, John? You took him with the 6th pick? 5th pick?
Shoot. In one draft, I took him with the number 1.
Right? So to go from being a locked-in top 5 first-round pick, now he's going, late 2nd, early 3rd sometimes.
Right. It's crazy how that works, right?
Right? But I guess the other side of the argument would be Patrick Mahomes is going to bounce back. It was one of his worst years last year, which it still was a good year, but for Patrick Mahomes, right? He's going to bounce back. Kelsey's going to be number 1 wide receiver, all the targets. Kelsey's coming in healthy this year. He can't, because he missed week 1, right? Last year with a knee injury. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't think it was week 1, but I think it was
week 1.
It was one of the first weeks. It was early in the season.
It was really early on, right?
a couple of games where, yeah, he was limited and out. So
See, so he's come back in healthy. It's Travis Kelce.
yeah, I don't know. I'm higher on just go ahead and get Mahomes then instead of Kelsey, just
I've
for
been big on that.
he's going to be able to get stuff done. Plus, I hear they're going to get all the referees back this year, so they should be fine.
Hey, hey, man, I'm big on Mahomes. I'll say that. I'm big on Mahomes. How? So then, I know we're just kind of keeping it going. Last question for you guys: how early is too early for Patrick Mahomes? Because I've seen people taking him in the first round this year.
First round, second round, I understand. That's me though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, second round, if you want one of those top 3 elite quarterbacks with Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, whoever you think is in that top 3 tier, I personally think it's Allen, Mahomes, and Hurts. I mean, second round is
In that order?
Allen, Mahomes, Hurts. Yeah, actually,
Okay.
I do.
I would even throw Lamar Jackson in there too.
I was gonna say,
I mean,
He could be interchanged with Hurts or Mahomes. I think Allen's going to be his coach. His coach is gonna say, "Hey, you guys need to like chill out on the running, taking hits and stuff like that." But that's just not Josh Allen. He's
No.
gonna kill him, get himself killed, man.
I know, but
because it's almost the 3rd year running of him being number 1.
I think he's been the number 1 fantasy QB 4 out of the last 5 years.
Yeah, dude, he's gonna kill himself.
Yeah. So full disclosure, Dale is our statistician when it comes to any kind of like stats or just general knowledge that other people normally wouldn't know. He's our guru.
Yes, sir. I'm the guy with the opinions. I got opinions and questions.
I just remember a lot of random stuff, and I don't know why.
Yeah. And full disclosure, we'll probably try to make sure we're a little bit more upfront with this when we do more episodes. That basically, when we're talking about ADPs and where we view people, we're basically basing it off of either half PPR or full PPR, single quarterback leagues, redraft. That's kind of our wheelhouse as far as that goes. We'll get deeper into the other stuff when we go and mess around doing some mock drafts in those different formats or whatever. But basically, when we're just talking generally to you guys, that's kind of where we're coming from. So if you're yelling at your phone or your screen, like these guys don't know what they're talking about, like I'd take it. No, we're just again not professionals. We just enjoy it. So we're just trying to do this and have fun with you guys and welcome any questions. Just so we'll throw that out there for maybe the next couple episodes. If you guys see this or hear it and you want to ask us something, drop us a line. We're here to get to know you. You definitely are here to get to know us, especially if you've made it this far into the pod. We appreciate it. And
definitely
bear with us. We are beginners. We just want to have some fun. And yeah, so.
Questions, comments, concerns, drop them.
Yep. So if I can jump back into that top 3 tier, I think Hurts this year is going to take a step back when it comes to rushing production and rushing touchdowns.
Now, are you basing that off of Saquon?
I'm basing that off of Saquon, exactly.
Man, I'm basing that off of him and the coach. I saw that report about him and the coach literally hating each other and can't being in the same room. Come on now.
Yeah.
That does not bode well.
But I think if they're at the goal line, he's going to get his tush push, or if it's 3rd and 1, he's going to do the tush push to get the first down. But I think Barkley is really going to eat into his rushing production and his rushing touchdowns this year, which is not to say he's not going to be an elite quarterback with the weapons that he has. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Barkley, Goddard's there. They just added Dotson. I don't know how much he's going to play a role in the offense, being the 4th, 5th mouth to feed. But I mean, we'll see what happens when the season goes on. But I just think rushing wise, he's going to take a step back.
Yeah. Well, I can see that, but I also can see a lot of this turn into more opportunities for them to get creative. Because if you're playing the Eagles, you're going to expect, all right, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, maybe Jahan, but mostly you're going to look out for Barkley because he's a big threat, right? So I could see a lot of RPOs happening. And
Yeah.
RPOs mean a lot of little chunk passes or throwing it back to Barkley. So you're getting the points for what Barkley does anyway, and you can depend on Barkley to make it happen. So I just see a lot of different possibilities there. I am definitely high on the Eagles as far as most pieces in that offense. Again, with Dotson being traded today and joining the team, like, I'm still not out on him, but I just don't know where he's going to fit, and it is going to be a lot of mouths to feed if he's going to be on the field in 3 receiver sets. So,
Absolutely. But Allen, we still sticking with Allen number one? I'm still stuck on that. I think more so. Not that I don't believe in his ability, but I don't believe he'll be able to keep it going with losing Stephon Diggs, right? Having these receivers that he's not sure about. He's gonna keep it like Johnny was saying, right? He's not gonna listen to his coach or to even his offensive coordinator. He's gonna want to do it himself. I feel like that man's gonna get killed. You can't do it every year, man.
he might, but you have 2 star tight ends in Dawson Knox and Kincaid. Get one of them to block. Josh Allen's going to run the ball. So is James Cook, and that's my guy.
James Cook, man. Yeah. I think he's going to have a good year in particular.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've always been high on James Cook. As you guys know, I'm a UGA fan. So him coming out of Georgia, So I'm excited to see what he has to bring to the table this year. Because he killed it last year, especially in efficiency.
Yeah, actually.
I
think
didn't
get touchdowns.
No, I think he only had 2 rushing touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
And and I believe that's correct. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I think his production in both goes up because of the loss of Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. We'll see what happens, but I think he could be used a lot more this year in the passing game for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so Allen number 1, Mahomes 2.
Mahomes 2.
Hurts 3.
I would go Hurts 3 because Lamar, he's got Zay Flowers and he's got Mark Andrews to throw the ball to. Derrick Henry's not really a receiving back. He can catch the pass, but he's not.
He's gonna throw the pass before he catch it.
But I think with Lamar not having a lot of weapons to throw to, it'll affect his numbers. So I don't think he'll be a top 3.
Rashad Bateman. Come on, bro.
Rashad Bateman is not and will not be a thing.
He's not the year?
No.
I mean, they've been talking it up long enough.
Every year, Rashad Bateman. Okay. So those are the top 4, right? Are you guys for taking an early QB? Or are you guys more of the late round QB? Because there's a lot of QBs to pick from this year.
I think it depends on where I'm drafting, what spot I'm drafting in, and how the draft is going ahead of me. Like if there's people that I have in my queue that I really want and they get taken and I got to switch on my game plan, then, I might choose to take a QB early if, one of my top guys is gone and I know that quarterback's not going to make it around. But I would rather put together the wide and the running backs early and wait until the middle rounds to go get my quarterback.
Okay, so like Kyler, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, Dak.
Yeah, no.
What do you think, Josh?
I don't know about Dak. I don't know about Dak this year. It's not from being a Niners fan. I just think.
I think it's part of that.
Partially.
A little bit.
I think with the CeeDee Lamb situation up in the air and, the loss of Tony Pollard out of the backfield, we don't know what the backfield's going to look like. Elliott is not the Ezekiel Elliott of old. He's not going to put up those numbers that he used to. And besides CD Lamb, who do you have catching the ball besides Ferguson and Brandon Cooks?
And
Now,
Tolbert.
Tolbert, okay. But, I mean, Brandon Cooks did last year. I think he had 8 touchdowns. That was a definite surprise, at least for me. I didn't see that kind of production coming out of him.
It was mainly towards the end of the year as well.
Yeah, can he do it again? Maybe. Like I said, depending on the CD situation. Is he going to be a holdout until he gets that contract, or is he going to play through and hope he gets something, done in the season or at the end of the year? We'll see. But I think I'm just going to fade Dak because of that situation.
Yeah, without CD there, like Dak's half of what he would get you.
Yeah. Well, I heard they're getting close on a deal, so don't put it out.
They offered him $33 million and he turned it down. They're not close to a deal. Jerry, if anybody knows about Jerry Jones, he's very stingy with his money, and he only pays who he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, what do you think about early QB or late round QB?
So like Dale was saying, it depends on where I am in the draft. If I'm in 10, 11, 12 spot, I know that my third round isn't going to come for a while. I may use one of my 2 picks that are close together to get a QB.
Okay.
I might just spend up, especially if one of the tops are there, So other than that, if I'm middle of the pack early, all right, well, it's not going to be that long until it comes back around. All right, I may wait until 3rd, 4th round before I touch QB. Now, if a lot of people are pulling pieces off the board that I liked, and all right, well, you know what? I will make a quick turn during the draft and say, you know what? Nah, I'm out on QB right now. I think I'll just go ahead and I'll keep loading my roster up with receivers or a running back. Make sure at least I have one good running back, and make sure I load up with some receivers, especially in full PPR.
Yeah.
Then I'll go ahead and try to get that value there in the 7th, 8th round, getting a QB where I think, all right, well, not too bad, not too shabby, and then 10, 11, 12th round, see if I can find me a second quarterback that I think might have pop and surprise some people.
Yes, sir. I've been noticing I'm kind of been leaning more towards late round QB, because usually what happens is people start picking off the QBs early second round, usually after Josh Allen. 3rd round, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, Jackson. Once that starts happening, I'm like, okay, I'm out on QB. May go for Kyler. Sometimes I go for Richardson, but again, it all depends on how the draft is going. But I found that I usually like my lineups with the late round QB. Like you guys were saying, I like to load up on wide receiver, running back, and to the moon after that.
Because while people are taking the prime, top quarterbacks, you can load up on those position players, and that'll help you in the later rounds because that value is not going to. So if you can load up on those position players early and fade your quarterback until later, you can still pick up a Kyler in the 6th, 7th round. You can get Tua in the 7th to 9th round in some crazy mock drafts that I've been doing.
Tua's been going like 10th round, bro.
And Tua is one of my favorite late round quarterbacks to pick up just because of his offensive weapons. Like you can't deny what he's been able to do with Tyreek, with Jalen Waddle. And now he's got a year with Devon Achane under his belt. He's still got Mostert. And he's got the rookie Jalen Wright. It's going to be an explosive offense. And I think he's definitely one to target in the later rounds if you fade quarterback early.
Sir. Him. Who else was it? Even Matthew Stafford, if he stays healthy. Tua, Matthew Stafford. Who else is going in those backgrounds? Justin Herbert. How do you guys feel about Herbert? Taking a chance on him?
If he's my second QB in the later rounds, I'll take a stab at Justin Herbert. He is a great quarterback, but they kind of like emptied the receiving room over there in LA.
little
you
bit.
know, like, and then they kind of oddly reloaded the backfield with Gus the Bus and J.K. Dobbins. Like, as
Yep.
long as they both make it to game one without dying, like, then they'll have a
Yeah,
running
that's it.
maybe. But I mean, I don't know. I just, obviously as Niner fans, we love Jim Harbaugh, but it's just I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a year for the Chargers making any kind of big moves. So I'm just kind of I'm not. I don't think I've taken any Chargers really, unless it's
I won't say that.
Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins just as a stab
Mm,
in the later rounds of that Scotty Fish Bowl when we had 22 rounds of a
right.
stab. So I mean, I don't want to waste a spot,
Yeah.
So I'll let somebody else take that risk. I'll get something a little bit more with more upside and a higher floor.
Yes,
I
sir.
think if you're gonna take a second quarterback, obviously in the late rounds, and you're worried about health with Justin Herbert, granted this guy's coming off an injury, but what he was able to do last year in the few games that he played before he got injured, he was on an MVP type run with
Kirk
Kirk
Cobain.
Cousins. Kirk Cousins. You give him Drake London, you give him Kyle Pitts, which I think will have a breakout year with a solidified quarterback play, and Bijan out of the backfield. I think Kirk Cousins could be a steal in the late rounds, depending on his health. If he can stay healthy, if he can stay healthy and he can deliver the ball like he was last year, or even just 60% of what he was doing last year, because you're not going to get Justin Jefferson production from anybody on the Falcons. Let's just throw that out there. But if he can do close to what he was doing with the Vikings last year, with the Falcons this year, I think he could be a late round steal as far as quarterbacks go, and could even step in as your starting quarterback, given, whoever you took early, if they're struggling, he might be a good swap, at some point through the season.
Which is what's so awesome about taking one of those late round QBs, because you never know when they may pop, may be able to do the little switch week to week. Who knows, right? But it gives you options. So
Well, I think Kirk Cousins has always been perceived as Mr. Reliable. He's just a steady, calm hand when it comes to points. Like if you're good with having a high floor and a somewhat high to mid ceiling, just to get that guaranteed like projected points out of him, he almost hits it on the money every time. So with some upside, but yeah, I think him with Atlanta this year could be really good for him, and the fact that Atlanta's defense is going to be sneaky good. They've been making a lot of moves,
Yep.
a lot of moves, and a lot of moves that I like. So I'm actually, when it comes to defenses, I've waited to the last round to get a defense, and of course Atlanta's still there. So I have no problem with taking Atlanta's defense and kind of surprising some people in the season. So good defense gets the ball back to the offense, and Kirk Cousins can do his thing.
Also, good offense keeps the defense off the field, keeps them fresh.
Yep. So I think they're going to have a good balance, especially they don't have Arthur Smith there anymore with his crazy tactics of, hey, you know what? We spent up to get Drake London and Kyle Pitts and drafted them. Let's just run the ball.
Yeah.
Tell me how that makes sense.
Let's give it to Algier.
Yeah. So, hey, Cordell Patterson, he used to be a receiver, but let's run it.
Right on.
So it's just, yeah, I think it's going to be a long time coming. I think a lot of Falcons fans are going to see this and get really excited for this year. They need it. It's been a while. So I'm all about the Kirk Cousins, Drake London, Kyle Pitts show. And I'm not going to leave out Bijan or even Tyler Algier. I think they all have a chance to really show out this year. So,
Sir. Okay. I've been wanting to ask you guys this. So since we're talking about taking late round QBs, all that, are you guys intentionally going for stacks? Or if it just happens to be a stack, hey, that's cool. Are you guys trying to create stacks?
I don't try to create a stack. If it happens organically, then I'm okay with it. Um, I don't I don't mind getting a stack, but I never set out in a draft to make sure that's my priority because you never know how the draft is going to turn out. So, if you get Jalen Waddle in the third, are you going to try and take Tua earlier than he's going ADP wise? Or it's hard to plan that out just because you don't know how everybody's going to draft, and it has to line up perfectly for you for that to happen, or else you're going to reach for the player to create that stack. If it's the quarterback that you're taking last, or if it's a wide receiver or running back that you're going to take later because you got the quarterback early. I think if it happens, like I said, organically, and it just falls in your lap, then it's hard to pass up. But I wouldn't go out with a game plan trying to make it happen.
Yeah, and I agree with that. If it's organic, great, cool. But also, it could be dangerous if you see a stack as a cool thing, because it is cool. There is a cool factor to it.
Love a stack.
But yeah, we know Scott loves a stack.
Super stack.
Super
Yeah,
stacks, baby.
if there's a way for you to be able to draft their coach,
Bad
super stack.
Steve.
So, but no, it can be a dangerous thing going after a stack because things may not fall your way, or you may get focused, a little hyper focused on getting the stack, and you might miss out on other players or other opportunities. And then also, if you're going to load up on a specific team, you're going to be heavy on missing pieces when it comes time for their bye week.
Right.
So there are a lot of different factors. Yeah, if it happens organically, cool, but I'm not actively trying to get a stack unless it's just two phenomenal players. Like, I'm not going to go and try to get Bryce Young and, their number one receiver, Deontay Johnson. Yeah, so I'm not trying to do that. Drake May and whoever they have over there in New England. Like, definitely not. But I mean, okay, with the Giants, like a Daniel Jones, Malik Neighbors stack.
Oh God!
Don't
get me started on
Jones may actually surprise you.
No. That's only one half of a good situation. All right.
But do you guys remember when Daniel Jones was scoring 30-something, 40 points a week?
Hold on, Scott. I think Dale either froze up or he's permanently crying over this.
I think he's permanently crying.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get him back in a second.
I know you guys remember that year though, when Daniel Jones was in the beginning, before he got injured. He was literally like one of the top QBs. He was scoring 30-something points, 40 points a week. Because I think that was my first year playing fantasy football, and I was like, I gotta pick up Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And he got injured.
Yeah. No, I think. Yeah, you know what? Just for the sake of my my marriage and my relationship with my father-in-law, no comment on this one right now. Okay.
Hey, I saw something about Sauce Gardner. He's like, yeah, he's a good QB. He's like, yeah, I respect him.
Yep. What do you think, Dale?
There we go.
Go.
There goes Dale.
All right. Well, hopefully he'll come right back.
Right. But no, just speaking on the stacks though, I've actually practiced. I've done a lot of mock drafts. I would say I've cleared at least 100 mock drafts this summer. Easily.
Wow.
Easily.
Here I am. I'm just trying to get like one done.
All
mine have been actual like just drafts for leagues that we're in together or separate ones. Like I know we've got the family and friends draft and the work league draft coming up. Not this Saturday, but next.
Yes, sir. It's coming up fast too. Time is that's pretty quick. But what I have noticed, I actually tried to see if I could go for specific stacks. Like would we possibly get an Eagle stack? Um,
See,
Chief stack.
I like the Eagle stack. I
Eagle
think
stack is. I would say what I've learned is Cardinals, Eagles, and Bengals, depending on where you land in the draft, are
Mhm.
probably the easiest stacks to get. What else? Oh, in Atlanta,
I was
right?
gonna say not at yeah. I was gonna say that's
Atlanta's one of the easier ones as well.
yes. If you're
There
gonna,
we go. I'm back.
hey
There we
bud,
go.
good to have you back.
As
So,
soon as you started talking about Daniel Jones, the
well,
connection was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not listening to this, and turn me off.
well, then let's not go back there. All right,
Man,
we're finish up our talk about stacks.
right. So I was telling Johnny that I've actually practiced how to get certain stacks and see how that works out. And what I was telling was that I noticed the Eagle stack, Cardinal stack, Atlanta, and what was the other one, Johnny?
Bengals.
Bengals. I've noticed that those are the easiest, more realistic stacks to get. But I've
Yeah.
also noticed with that, like you were saying, I do have to reach sometimes to get those guys. And is it worth it? It depends on how other people are drafting. But
Right.
majority of the time, it's too much effort. So if it doesn't happen organically, it's kind of like you want to stay away from it.
So
I think the easiest stack, depending on your first round draft position, if you're between 3 and 6, I would say, depending on who you draft with and how they draft, I think the Bengals stack with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow is probably the easiest to do and probably the best one out of all of them. Even throw in T. Higgins.
I was gonna say I was
Even,
going for all three.
even throw in T. Higgins. If you miss out on Chase, if you're not in the position to get Chase and you get another wide receiver running back in the first round and you get T. Higgins in third, fourth round, late third, early fourth, mid fourth, wherever
He's been
you
going
decide to pull the
fifth.
trigger, or fifth, depending on what what you're drafting on Sleeper, Yahoo, ESPN. He's going different spots on different platforms, but you could then wait and get Burrow in the late sixth, seventh round, and it won't feel like a reach. At least to me, it won't. But I think that depending on those two wide receivers and your draft position in the first, if you can get Chase and then you can push quarterback off until sixth, seventh and get Burrow, I think that is worth trying to do.
Yeah.
But other than that, I wouldn't try and make it happen. But that one out of all of them, I think would be the one that would be the easiest to pull off.
I think you'd be able to go under the radar with that one.
Yeah.
You guys know I'm big on the Bengals stack. Carried
Oh,
me, gave me to the championship last year.
yeah.
Love the Bengals stack.
You had how many of them? You had 50 players on your team, right?
No, 55. No,
Oh.
I
You
had
added the
the
water boy.
I had the super Bengals stack. I had Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, then I got T Higgins, and then I was able to get Joe Mixon at one point too. And I ended up trading Mixon, and that Mixon trade. So I know there's a couple other pieces in it. That was actually the reason I didn't win the championship. But that Bengals stack carried me through the rest of the season. I was highly on that Bengals stack.
Yeah. How is that with the Joe Burrow and the wrist game? Oh, too soon?
I haven't heard too many updates. The last update I heard was that he's practicing again, but that he wasn't allowed to throw more than 3 days in a row.
Oh, really? Okay.
But that was about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So who knows what it is now? The
Yeah.
last I saw was he was not allowed per coach to throw more than 3 days in a row.
No, probably just making sure he's in good shape and not re-injure.
Right.
So,
But I know they're gonna be passing heavy.
yeah. Well, yeah, they're gonna have to. Well, I mean, they don't have to. They have pretty good backfield with a rookie and with Zach Moss. I mean, they're gonna be able to hold their own. But I think most of their points are gonna go through the air. Speaking of stacks, what do you guys think of Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, and how far apart those two are in the draft on average? Garrett Wilson into the first, maybe beginning of the second. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not even sure where he's getting picked up. I think ninth, 10th round, maybe.
Sometimes
so
he's not even
Yahoo,
being drafted.
Yahoo ADP is he's going like 14th, 15th round, like end of the draft. Or
Yeah,
I think a lot.
so if you get Garrett Wilson in round 1, you decide that's who you want, or even beginning of round 2, are you going to pick up Rodgers there towards the end of the draft just so you can have a technical stack just to see how it pans out and make sure he can make it through the Pledge of Allegiance?
yes.
If I don't have a second quarterback by the 8th to 10th round, and I'm taking positional players that I think have better value, then I don't mind throwing a dart at Aaron Rodgers in the 14th, 15th round, the very last couple rounds of my draft. Personally, I haven't drafted him in any mock draft or any current draft I'm going to be in, just because I've got better players through my drafts. But if I were to fade my second quarterback and he's still there and I have Garrett Wilson, I mean, why not? But I think it's hard to take Rodgers coming off of that injury, but we'll take Cousins coming off the same injury because Cousins is just slightly younger. Rodgers is almost 40 now, and
He's not 40 yet?
I don't think he's 40. I think I want to say 37,
38, 39.
Is he 38, 39?
I think he's it might be 38. We'll
I've been
have
under the
that
impression he's
info.
40 already.
So I think
I'm ready. MVP at 40?
I think that's what's holding a lot of people back from taking Rodgers before a lot of other quarterbacks that are being taken in the late rounds is how is he going to come back from that Achilles tear?
I would take Rodgers last picks if I drafted Garrett Wilson, but I've probably only drafted Garrett Wilson maybe 2 or 3 times out of all the mocks I've done. Out of that range, if I miss out on all the first wide receivers like Chase, Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Hill, AJ Brown, I'm going over to elite running back. I'm taking Derrick Henry.
Okay. So to get back to Aaron Rodgers, he will be 41 in December.
So he is 40.
So he's currently 40. Kirk Cousins is
36.
36.
Or did he turn 36 yesterday or the other day, or was it 37?
No, he's currently 36.
Okay, boom. So he's fresh 36. Fresh 36.
Fresh 36. 3 days ago, 36.
Mm-hmm.
So
and better overall team, I would say.
Back to the Rodgers, Garrett Wilson stack. I will reach for him earlier than the 14th and the 15th round. I think as long as I'm hitting my my positional players and I got that kind of, I'm gonna throw a dart. I'm gonna go ahead and grab him if I think maybe he might go.
So are you high on Wilson?
That's the danger of having that want for a stack, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, I feel good.
Stack, though, that's more realistic.
Yeah, because I mean, okay, at least I have Garrett Wilson. So if I take a stab at him and maybe go a little earlier, maybe somebody wants to, snipe me and decide, oh, well, let's not give him the stack, just thinking that way. In, the 13th, 14th round, maybe I'll beat him to the punch. And especially if I'm towards one of the ends of the snake draft, then okay, I know I'm going to get another pick in a second. Let me get Rodgers now. I'll go ahead and get a positional player after that, and we'll move on. So
yeah,
I don't think it's too bad, but I think anything pre-10th round with Rodgers is definitely too early.
Yes, that's way too early.
So you're high
I'm willing to take that risk. I know their chemistry together is good. It's really good from what we saw, at least with Hard Knocks, and oh wait, none of the NFL season whatsoever. I just want to see that happen. So that's
you taking Wilson. If you get like the 11th, 12th pick, are you taking Wilson?
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna see if AJ Brown's still there.
He's not going to be there.
But he has moved up on his ADP because he was in the beginning of the second round, and then people will continue to take him in mocks or drafts earlier than the end of the first. So
He's fallen. AJ Brown has fallen to me like late in draft or late in the first round twice. He's usually going pretty consistently 7 to 9.
Twice
Yeah,
twice in the last 100 mock drafts. Got it.
yes, yes.
2% chance you're going to get AJ Brown.
But then
So
again,
my bad. My thing is with Garrett Wilson, even if Aaron Rodgers is 70% of the Aaron Rodgers that we know, Garrett Wilson still put up 1,000 yards last year with Zach Wilson and a bevy of other dumpster fire quarterbacks that I can't even name. So
Mike White.
there you go. But I think just how successful he can be with those quarterbacks, I think with Aaron Rodgers, even not a prime Aaron Rodgers or even close to a prime Aaron Rodgers, he could have a very good year.
Well, and I think that speaks to that because he was able to do that with Zach Wilson and whoever else and still get those yards. It didn't have to be a long bomb. He had to work for it. He broke through. He got the yards.
Yeah.
So if Aaron Rodgers is at least half of what he was, that's still better than Zach Wilson and any of those other quarterbacks. So again, I think that even reiterates that I'm going to try to go for him probably around the 12th round if he's still there.
Well, the thing for me so I would take a chance, even if I didn't get Wilson, I may take a chance on Rodgers, right? The thing with Wilson is it's kind of like Marvin Harrison, and I was big on taking Marvin Harrison before. Now I'm kind of like, okay, we're drafting them this high. We're drafting them at their ceiling. Like there's no room for them to essentially beat it because if they hit those marks, that's essentially there. So you're drafting them right at their highest value. So you need them to hit their ceiling for you to get like good value on the ADP. And I'm kind of like, I'm weary of that, right? Very weary because we haven't seen it yet. Besides, we've seen a good season from Wilson, but what did he end? He was wide receiver last year? Even though he hit his 1,000 yards, I don't think he was top 10, was he?
No,
he wasn't top 10. He's probably in the mid-teens,
he was.
but definitely not a top 10. But again, it is Aaron Rodgers, and he's had a lot of time to heal and rest and build chemistry with these guys.
Oh, those retreats.
Mike, yeah, those retreats. Mike Williams, until he gets hurt again, because that's what Mike Williams does. Like he's gonna put up some numbers with Mike Williams.
Yeah.
But I think
Mike Williams when he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, or they may just use him to draw fire from Garrett Wilson, and
True.
I don't know. I just I think since I'm not going to be taking my defense till the later rounds, till 14th, 15th, maybe not even worry about a kicker until after the draft. I did that in the draft. I
did see that.
Yeah, so all right, well, we'll see how things pan out because I may have one of the players I drafted. All right, they get hurt and they're not going to be there for a while. They go on IR or they're just done or whatever it is. Hopefully none of that happens. Or at least I can see who's going to win out that job. And if I have two players on the same team in the same position, then I'll let one go. I'll pick up a kicker and then we'll call it good. But it's all about following your gut, looking at the numbers. ADP, I think, is it's not necessarily their ceiling. I think they take into account with ADP, like the highs and the lows and the game schedules and all that stuff. And they kind of just like, all right, plug those numbers in, and that's where they land. Unfortunately, people get high on those ADPs and bring them up closer. So the ADPs are average draft position for a reason. It's based off the stats in the beginning of it. After you have so many mock drafts and regular drafts and stuff like that, that's change. Everybody has their feelings, their thoughts about it, and those numbers change again and again and again. And all of a sudden, Travis Kelce, 27th.
Yep, because he was going probably like mid-30s, like almost 40. No, he was going like 42 to start off with in Yahoo at least, and he's up to like 27, 25. Like, actually kind of crazy.
But isn't it something how he was top 5 last year?
Yep.
Top 5 ADP, and now like what's changed? Another year's gone by. He won a Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
Like he didn't. he didn't decline. Like he had an injury that lingered with him for a little while, for a span of weeks. I don't know.
So
It's a
I believe
crazy.
in Kelsey. I'm one of the few people I take Kelsey number one tight end this year. But I do believe McBride is going to come through as number one, or has a chance to. McBride, Kincaid, or Kelsey.
I know exactly where Dale's going to go. What do you think, Dale? Tight end.
number one,
Yep.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say it.
So
but
I think
if I can jump back in on that Garrett Wilson fantasy finish from last year,
yeah,
what do you guys think he finished at?
16.
14.
You are both very wrong and very far off. He finished as the wide receiver 32 last season.
My goddamn point.
Wow.
And he still hit like 1,000 receiving yards, all the good stuff, right? But I know he didn't have
1,042 with 95 receptions.
But he didn't have any touchdowns, or very few touchdowns.
He had 2, I believe.
See?
No, excuse me, 3. He had 3. He had 3 touchdowns last year.
So if you're
this year he's a consensus number 7.
Yeah. But see, I can see that. You know why? Because anytime the Jets got anywhere near the red zone, it was ground and pound time. They just were afraid to throw it. They were afraid to get an interception. And that's just how I think that's how that went.
But
So
what I'm saying is that if you're drafting him that high, that's assuming that he's going to hit over 1,000 yards, that he's going to have a shitload of touchdowns to go from wide receiver 32?
32.
Wide receiver 32 to wide receiver 7.
I think if he can hit 95 receptions and 1,042 yards with a combination of Mike White, Zach Wilson, and whoever was playing, he can hit over 100 receptions, probably 1,100 yards, and 6 to 8 touchdowns with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Question. Do you guys think, because of how bad the Jets were last year, that people kind of didn't play them serious, right? Kind of like with the Panthers, right? You play the Panthers, you already pencil that as a win. Versus this year, all the hype, Aaron Rodgers is actually playing. Everybody's hyping up Wilson, Brees Hall, et cetera, et cetera. People are actually going to show up and be ready to play them, therefore making it that much harder for them to actually get some production.
Yeah.
What do you guys think that's hype the thing?
No, I think hype has a lot of influence over people. I just think that, Aaron Rodgers made it 3 downs into the season last year. And then all that hype just went out the window. And everybody just gave up. So, except for the players, especially like Brees Hall, like, all right, he has something to prove. He has something to show, like, hey, I deserve to be here. Garrett Wilson, same thing. So they still had to ball out. It's playing knowing we're probably going to lose, but you got to ball out. So
yep.
It's just one of those situations, and unfortunately, that happened before the season even got started. So, yeah.
Okay. You guys are believers. I'm still in the middle. I'm right.
I believe they can be a lot better than they were last year. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Even with the backup quarterback situation they have now.
Okay.
Because who did they pick up, Dale?
Their backup quarterback.
Isn't it the same guy that Rodgers has wanted there for years?
Don't tell me it's Brian Hoyer.
No,
it's not Brian Hoyer. If I'm not mistaken, it's somebody that Aaron Rodgers specifically requested. Who's now I need to know.
Tyrod Taylor.
Right Taylor?
Tyrod?
Tyrod Taylor. So
interesting.
New York at least upgraded its backup QB with Tyrod Taylor. So
Andrew Peasley.
So Tyrod Taylor. Got it.
So Tyrod Taylor, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel even better about Garrett Wilson because I think Tyrod, in a pinch, will be fine. But way better than Zach Wilson.
Yes. I mean,
So,
damn
John,
near
you're
anybody
maybe taking
is better
Wilson.
than Zach Wilson.
What's that, Scott?
So, Johnny, so I know you said you may take a chance on Wilson. And Dale, are you going to take a chance on Wilson?
I think if I'm at the end of the first, beginning of the second, possibly. But I mean, at the end of the first, beginning of the second, you still have Puka there. You know, am I going to take Garrett Wilson over Puka? I don't know. Given Puka's injury right now and, you know, that being up in the air and being week to week, I think he's kind of gone down a little bit for me.
Did Stafford
Because
just come back from an injury as well?
Stafford is,
He dealt with
He
an
just got
elbow.
back from
coming back. I think he's coming back from a back injury.
Oh, shit.
So I don't know if he's 100%, but I think he is back at practice, as
Yeah, he's
far as I
definitely
can remember. But I don't know if he's 100%. It's another offense that's I want to be able to be all in on them, and I would love to be able to take Puka where he's at. You know, I want to believe Cooper Kupp is back to being the Cooper Kupp that, you know, he was 2 years ago. And Matthew Stafford is healthy and he'll make it through a season and we won't have to worry about it. But I don't know if any of those things are actually going to be true just because they're off injured and you never know what's going to happen week to week with them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But when they're healthy, Puka and Kupp, they're league winners. I mean, Puka helped me last year for sure. And, you know, I know Kupp, you know, a couple years ago, same thing. So
Yeah.
when they're healthy, they're some of the best in the league, but with their injury history, it's hard to see what might happen with them.
Sir.
Yeah. The Sean McVay offense is no joke, especially when they have the people to execute that game plan. So, before we go on to our last topic, real quick. So Garrett Wilson, Puka Nakua, or Marvin Harrison Jr. Who are you taking first?
Out of those three,
Yeah. Go in order. Because I'm assuming everyone's taking AJ Brown before all of them. Yeah.
Harrison, Wilson.
Yes. Now, are all healthy?
All
Or
healthy.
currently?
Puka's fine. Puka's fine.
We're
It
going
comes to
healthy.
week one, fine.
We're completely healthy. We're going
We're
fine.
going talent.
Yep.
Okay,
Get
I'm
talent in
going.
this situation.
I'm going Puka, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, you got to. Puka's done it already. Wilson has the talent. He's shown it, but he hasn't shown it with Aaron Rodgers. Marvin Harrison, we don't know what the fuck's going
I mean, I don't know if you guys watched Marvin Harrison in college, but I mean, the man was electric.
on. I've heard.
Now, is that going to transfer over to the NFL? We don't know.
Right.
I would like to assume so. And I'm going to take a big swing at this, and I might get some flack for it, but I think Marvin Harrison coming out of college, Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out of college, right now where he's at is better than his dad was around the same time. He's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger, he's more athletic. He's just all around, he's got a better skill set than his dad. And if he can be anything close to what his dad was, it will be incredible. But until that happens, I'm taking the guys that I know what they can do in the NFL.
So that's where I kind of go against the grain, I guess, because I'll go Marvin Harrison Jr. Then I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson because of I'm a part of that hype with the Jets, and then I take that back. I go Puka second because I trust the Rams offense more.
Yeah,
Healthy, gotta take the Rams.
And then I go Garrett Wilson, but I am still hyped on that because whether I get Wilson or not, I'm excited to see what the Jets do this year with Aaron Rodgers healthy and throwing the ball and not dying 5 minutes into the game.
Now, I have a question for you guys about the Rams offense. Given Puka's healthy, Cup is healthy, you know, are you taking Puka into the first, beginning of the second, or are you fading Puka and waiting to take Cup
Cup.
later?
Trying to get the value, huh?
Not even the value. I think Cup is going to be the better player in that offense, or at least not even the better player. He's going to get more targets because him and Matthew Stafford already got that connection. That's his guy. And
Yeah,
if
true.
Cup is healthy, Cup is right there, man. I'm higher on Cup than I am on Puka. And then you throw in the value on top of that, it's rad.
Yeah, I'm not grabbing either of them. Like obviously in the first round, I don't know if I would reach for Puka with my first pick, but I would probably go if I'm going to get a Ram and my heart's set on that, and Harrison's off the board. I'll grab Puka because I think he will come up as being the top target. If not, just an even timeshare between the two of them, and we've seen that they both can get the numbers at the same time on the field. So I'm not worried about that too much. And that was with Kyron Williams eating like
You know?
easy. So I just think they can make it happen until they play us.
Yes, sir.
So all right,
Definitely.
well, you guys want to talk about this Brandon Ayuk stuff? Maybe this Jahan Dotson trade opened opened a little bit of a position for him to slide on over to Washington like he wanted to be with Jaden Daniels again.
Um,
I know it's all speculation at the moment, but
yeah.
why did they make that move? You know, that's kind of a big question. And what do you guys think about that for Luke McCaffrey
Well,
and
I
Brown?
think from what I've heard, I think there was no set number 2 right now in Washington between Dotson, between McCaffrey, and between Brown. They didn't have a set number 2 wide receiver. So I think they just pulled the trigger on a trade to get whatever value they could out of it, and they're gonna figure out between it's gonna be McCaffrey or Brown as the number 2. So I think they just added some draft capital for later and decided to go with who they have, you know, currently outside of Dotson. You know, Dotson didn't have a good year last year.
He also didn't as a quarterback.
Given the quarterback play, obviously, you know, but I just think they thought maybe they could get some draft capital, load up for, you know, next year and just roll the dice on McCaffrey and Brown. Or, like you're speculating, possibly package something up eventually and bring in Ayuk. But that's going to be a lot to give up on their end for capital and or players. Plus, they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And I just think there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of things that would have to fall into the right place for that to happen. Because if the Patriots offered Ayuk $32 million a year for 4 years and he turned it down, you know, I know him and Jaden Daniels, like you said, have that connection because they played in the past at Arizona State. But would they be willing to pay Ayuk 30 to 32 to come there? Do they have the cap space to do it? I don't know.
So
And what would they give up in draft capital, picks, and or players to send back to the Niners?
what they just got, obviously, but if they were going to do what they did, and obviously they're not a win now team. Washington is in a rebuild.
Yes.
If you're going to give up one of your capital to try to like build, try to build it back up, maybe you can do both if you shop McLaurin. Scary Terry goes to Philadelphia. You open up that spot because it just seems like they gave away Jahan Dotson for some draft picks, and he was still under his rookie contract. Like he was I mean, if you're going to do that, you want to save some cap, some salary cap. Deal McLaurin. You do that, you'll probably get more as far as draft capital and picks that you're going to get.
Definitely.
You're going to save money on his contract by them taking it over, and maybe you will have the ability to pay a Brandon Ayuk to come over, be the number one, allow Jahan Dotson to stay in the mix, and then McCaffrey and Brown duke it out for the other spot. Or they all three duke it out for the number two, and it is what it is. And you have Brandon Ayuk team back up with his QB. I just think that would have made a little bit more sense. But obviously, I don't do it for a living. They're not going to listen to me.
I think Ayuk is re-signing with us, man. We haven't heard any news since they were talking about renegotiating with him and then getting closer, quote unquote, on a deal. I think they're just going to hash it out and it's coming back home.
Well, they're going to have to at this point, in my opinion, because at this point he's being a greedy little bitch, and that's just what it just boils down to.
Well, they said the Steelers had a deal ready for him. Everything was in.
They currently have
theory.
a deal.
Yeah, in theory, everything's good to go. They're just waiting on the Niners to pull the trigger, and they haven't. So that means they're trying to keep Ayuk.
Or it's not fair enough. Like, maybe it works out good for the Steelers, and it works out great for Ayuk, but the Niners are getting the shaft in the deal, and it needs to be more fair. Clearly, give and take, and it's just not balanced. So.
Well, no, dude. From what I've been reading is the Niners are okay with it, but they're trying to get the deal done with Ayuk first before actually accepting the deal. They're like, okay, yeah, we would take that, but we really don't want to. We really want to keep our guy now, so we're going to try to do what it takes to keep him. Okay. But after all this, man, I don't know. We should have just agreed to some terms from the get-go. If we were going to go through all this just to resign.
That's one thing I've never liked about how these deals never get addressed until the end of preseason or somewhere in the middle, and it's messy. We saw how that kind of affected our defense 2 years ago with Bosa. He wasn't on the field to go through the preseason. He wasn't there to lead the team, lead the defense, and get everybody kind of calibrated. So I just think it's more damage than it's worth just to try to save some bucks. These players are already making ungodly amounts of money. Just figure it out. Pay the price.
The NFL is becoming the NBA in that aspect.
Yeah.
Because the NBA, they do it all the time.
Yeah. All the time. It's getting pretty ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So the Commanders definitely have the cap space. If this is correct, they have 35, almost 36 million in cap space. So they could definitely afford to pay him. But it's what would they be willing to give up to get him? Because if you look at their top players, they're not going to give up Daron Payne on defense. They're not going to give up Jonathan Allen. They have Bobby Wagner, who's 34 years old. I mean, outside of that, you really don't have any solid players that I don't think the Niners would even want to trade for. At least none that add any value to our roster. I mean, we're gonna swap Ayuk for McLaurin.
Some draft capital.
And some draft capital. I mean, I'd be okay with that. But
I don't see it happening though.
Exactly. I don't see it happening.
What if? Because I'm not sure what draft picks they have for next year. I don't know if you have that on your screen, Dale.
I can pull it up.
Okay. Throw a first and maybe a third, and send us CMCs, brother. Get us a little LMC. Get some brothers on a team. That'd be fun, right? We can do that.
I wouldn't mind it.
It would be fun, at least.
I was gonna say it wouldn't be too too happy about it, but at least it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be entertaining.
But I mean, if we're gonna lose him anyway, I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, but if it comes to okay, we're just trying to get
I
the best of the situation.
yeah,
So the Commanders,
I think quoting Dale from like maybe a week or two ago is like, just give us a bag of popcorn and a Coke at this point because we're tired of it.
so 2025 they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So they don't have any multiple picks in any round. It says they may have a conditional 6th-round selection coming from the Steelers. But other than that, they've got everything but a 7th.
Okay, well, give us a first and a third, a first, a third, and a fourth. We'll send them another fifth, and yeah, we'll take LMC. At this point, I mean, you're going to have someone that's going to play harder than Ayuk if he doesn't get his deal the way he wanted it.
Yeah.
No, the amount of being disgruntled and on a team, that's almost that's like a hovering negative.
Yep.
You don't want that cloud over the
You
team.
don't want that. So let's if you make it fun, bring the brother in, like get Debo to show him the ropes, get him ready. I mean, we've got Juwan Jennings. We got the Ricky
That's true.
Pearsall.
Ricky Pearsall.
If he
I
can be
mean,
healthy.
there's Jacob Cowing. Still got Danny Gray. I mean, we've got a.
Do we still have? No, we don't have Ray McLeod anymore.
No, we do not.
So
I believe he's on the Falcons.
Yeah, I was going to say Atlanta. Yep.
Yep.
But I think that could be fun. That could be all right. Well, let's just fix this whole situation. We'll save a bunch of money. We'll get another rookie. Like, let's clear some cap space. Make sure that we can keep on going. Because I mean, we're in our Super Bowl window now.
Yeah, buddy, got a couple years left, realistically.
You know, but I mean, like, if it ends this year, like, we need to have some young kids to come up and take the spots. So, but anyway,
See,
you guys, everything else to add before we shut it down? I know it's getting kind of late.
I was gonna say, no, man. I think for the first like real go at the pod, say it was a good one, man.
All
yes,
right.
sir.
Well, I feel good about it. Next week, since this is going to be the last week of preseason football, next week we're going to do a mock draft because it wasn't good enough for you guys to hear us talk about doing them. We're going to do one, and we're going to talk about us doing it at the same time. So it should be really exciting. In between picks, we'll give a little bit of feedback on how we feel about players, picks, strategies. We'll talk a little bit more about ourselves. If you guys send us any questions you want answered, we can address those. And yeah, just help us build this, and we'll make it fun.
Questions, comments, concerns, throw them down below.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to that mock draft next week. Sniping a few picks from both of y'all because I know how you guys like to draft.
Yeah,
so
we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
That is a curse and a blessing in the sense.
I got about 10 tricks up my sleeve these days, man. We're gonna see.
All right. Well, Sam Laporta, pick number 1. I'm gonna snipe him from Dale.
Yep. In Aaron Rodgers in the 2nd round, just so you don't take him in the 14th.
Man.
Cold game. All right, fellas. Well, it was a good one, and we will see you all next week.
Yes, sir.
JSD Fantasy.
JSD Fantasy.
All right, boys.